Today we're making orange Splot houses, and this year we are working with some air dry clay instead of using the kiln clay, the clay that has to go back into the big oven to cook. This clay dries out quite nicely as long as we don't get it too flat. And we're going to start it with a ball of clay because it is quite soft. Kids will be able to roll it out themselves and flatten it themselves. It's probably the consistency of a sticky Play-Doh. And so you can have kids flatten it out and get it nice and flat. And I am working on a canvas board. Kids can work on a piece of canvas. They can work on a scrap sheet of paper. Anything that will keep it from sticking to the table. If I work directly on the table, the only way that I'll be able to get it off is by taking my fingernails and scraping it off. And that'll be a big disappointment. So we want to make sure that we work on something that we can peel off the back of it when it does stick. So you're going to flatten out your clay, and you can certainly use the rolling pins to help roll it out. We just don't want to over roll it because if we get it too thin, just like the regular clay that we use, it will crack. I would say if we get too much thinner than this, pinky width, it might crack. So we don't want to get too carried away. And then we have these house templates that we're going to use, but look at my problem. I didn't flatten it good enough. And so what I can do here is I can set that template on there and cut off some of my extra and just add it up. And this clay smooths out really nice. And with a little bit of water, instead of using slip, we're going to use water this year. I can use some of my extra clay. You can also take some extra clay out of the bag and add to it. We don't have to worry so much about air bubbles like we did with the kiln clay because we don't have to worry about it exploding because we're not putting it back into the kiln. So now I have this kind of chunk of clay that I've attached. I can re-roll it so it looks like it fits in with the rest. It does smooth out very, very nicely. And you can see that the clay is pretty sticky. It's stuck to my rolling pin, so you just got to be careful that things are not sticking as you work with them. And then I'm going to put my house template on there and put it on like this, make it fit. And then kids are going to trace around it. And I'm not pressing real hard. I'm just making the lines in there. It's easier if I trace around it first, move this out of the way, and now I can cut all the way into the clay using my sharpened wooden dowel. And I'm going to cut off my extra, but I'm going to save it because I can make my details with that too. The first thing that you're going to want to do before we get any further is take it, turn it over, and kids are going to need to write their initials in it so there's no argument over whose is whose, and turn it back again. You can use a little bit of water to smooth out around the edges so that they're not sharp. And you'll notice that things stick a lot less when we are able to do that. So now I have my basic house design, but just like Mr. Plumbean, we need to add extra details to it, like windows and doors. And so now I can use my extra clay and make shapes. And maybe I want to make a door, so I'm going to make a rectangle. And because it's air dry clay, I also don't need to slip and score. I can just put it on where I want it, smush it on, smooth it on where it meets. And anytime it's starting to get sticky, I just dip my finger back into the water and use it again. Now I can add chimneys, I can add windows, I can add window boxes. I could even add a little textured shrub in the front just by taking the clay and smushing it on there. Like that.